Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Allergy Show. My name is Natalie, I'm your host for today in the kitchen. I have managed to get hold of the lovely Dan from May Contain because I want him to do something a little bit special for us. Now, he didn't know I was going to do this, so thank you so much for saying yes, Dan.
You got me on the spot and I was like, all right, well.
I did indeed. The reason I have brought Dan to come and have a chat with me is because Dan's doing something very different within the allergy community. It's something quite exciting as well. We always have people that are focusing on small children. That's what I do because my little boy is only 8 years old, so I'm kind of in that part of the allergy side. We also have people that are kind of focusing on the adult side. But Dan is being the advocate for people in the 16 to 25 bracket, and this is almost what we would say is the most dangerous time for people with allergies, isn't it?
It's at risk as well, because you find that like the 16 to 25-year-olds like take on that responsibility for the first time, like I said, like moving away from home or going to university, and like they kind of like take on that massive responsibility with the food allergies and making sure that they're vocal about it in restaurants and eating out. So they're usually most at risk because they take more risks, and what I'm trying to do is like change that.
That's so true. So as an allergy parent, I can be there and I can advocate for my son Callum. But when you get into kind of your teenage years, you want to be the cool person who's kind of doing things for themselves. They want to push boundaries, that's what kids do. That's when it becomes really dangerous, doesn't it? Because if they're pushing that boundary too much, where does the safety come into it?
I always find it's a bit like Russian roulette sometimes.
Yeah.
Like you've kind of like, you always feel like you're taking risks to some extent, but it's always like trying to reduce that risk. And I think the first point of call is like starting that dialogue. So if you are eating out in a restaurant, starting that dialogue and being vocal about it. And I've always said as well, if they don't take your allergy seriously, just don't eat in that restaurant and find a restaurant which is going to take your food allergy seriously. But I think what I'm trying to do is like give young people the confidence to speak up about their allergy, because like I said, like 56% of like young people just don't feel confident, and it's really trying to like give them the confidence to kind of start that dialogue and break that stigma. And
that's exactly what we all need, isn't it? So as you guys all know, I have a little boy who's got 28 severe allergies, 8 of which are anaphylaxis inducing. He is a huge fan of Dan. He's like fanboy every time he sees Dan, because Dan is kind of the allergy voice for him. There's not many men out there that are actually doing this. You tend to find it's the mums that are doing it more than anything else, because that's what we've had to do. So can you tell our lovely audience how you came into doing this and why you're so passionate about it?
So when I was in my final year at university, so I studied at University of Huddersfield, so I studied graphic design. In the final year degree show, you get to do a project what you're passionate about. So I created an allergy magazine called May Contain, and it's about taking the EpiPen out of the medical context. So the EpiPen is adrenaline. So when you have a severe allergy reaction, you stab adrenaline into the thigh for 3 seconds. And a lot of people just wasn't carrying the auto-injector, or a lot of students didn't understand the severities of allergies. So I created a magazine, and it was by taking the EpiPen out of the medical context and putting it into a fashion context. So I did all these photo shoots, like different models, like showing like eating out at a restaurant, like dating, like nights out. And the magazine went viral. So the magazine got like 1,500 shares in 24 hours. And
it was amazing.
And it kind of exploded. And I think like a lot of the content was always aimed at parents, and there wasn't much content aimed at like the kind of like the teenagers growing up with these food allergies. And I think that's so important. Was when I was like online searching, I couldn't find like any content like aimed at like myself. Like, so there was no content about like dating with an allergy or like traveling around Europe with an allergy. So I decided to launch May Contain, which is a allergy platform to really break the stigma of allergies and give young people the confidence.
So the people here might not know, what allergies do you have, Dan?
So I've just got a severe peanut allergy, so I'm allergic to walnuts. Never gone into anaphylactic shock, touch wood, but I always carry like the adrenaline everywhere I go. But I was 5 years old and I was coming home from school, and my mum gave me a chocolate bar. I was like, oh, this is from your nana, like, it's a chocolate bar. And I took one bite of the chocolate bar and I spat it over the back seat of the car. And my mum's like, what are you doing? I was like, I don't like it. And within minutes of like leaving the school and driving home, I'd come out in a red rash and my neck was swelling. And my parents then realised something very serious was happening, so got rushed to A&E, and they took one up as having a severe allergic reaction. So I took the antihistamine, and thankfully it calmed down, and they later done the blood test and said I was severely allergic to walnuts. But I was like the only kid in my school as well. It wasn't very common in the 90s to have food allergies.
It's scary, isn't it? When you don't have My apologies, my voice is really going now. When you have people that aren't kind of around you with allergies so much, and you're kind of the minority, if you like, that's even frightening in itself, because you don't know what to expect, you don't know how people are going to respond to you. As a child, things are very different, and then as you become into a teenager and then an adult, you almost feel as if you're having to apologise for going through things like this, don't you?
That's what I mean. I think like when I was obviously in school, like there wasn't many like kids my age with allergies, and I've always said now, like obviously more kids now are growing up with these like severe food allergies, and you've got to be really confident about speaking up about your allergy. And like I said, like a lot of young people just don't feel confident about it, and I think you've always got to like vocalise it and be like, you know what, I've got a food allergy, and like take ownership of that. And I think like 9 out of 10, like people are like very understanding when you speak up about your allergy.
That's very true, and actually something I hear repeatedly, you're making allergies cool.
Trying to, bit by bit, like trying to break the stigma, like
you do.
This is just trying to take it out of the medical context. So with my Instagram, which is _may_contain, is just trying to make allergies like relatable, because you find that like a lot of the time, like people talk about allergies in a very medical and very clinical way, and people, like young people, just don't resonate with that type of content. So by me doing a photo shoot and getting good looking models, like talking about their allergy and like talking about the EpiPen, it actually gives people confidence to speak up about it, and they can engage with that content, definitely with the podcast. Like.
It makes it more real for them.
Relatable,
it's relatable, and it makes it normal, if you like. So for the guys who are here, because we're starting to get quite a crowd coming to listen, tell them about your podcast. Tell them, because he started this podcast, what was it, 18 months ago, something like that?
It was in October, so about 7 months.
It's kind of exploded. When I say that, it really has exploded. It's kind of taken on its own journey in its own right, hasn't it? Because what you're doing is breaking down, as you say, all the stigma, but making it real.
Making it relatable. I think like when I see a lot of this like allergy content online, it's always like very medical, and it actually really like frustrates me. I'm like, I don't resonate with this. If I don't resonate with it, is it going to resonate with like a young person? So I set up a podcast, and basically all the best ideas come when I'm getting a train back to Manchester. So I'm getting on the train back to Manchester, and I'm like, what is it? I want to take the book next. And I've always really like listened to podcasts, and I thought, well, I had a search on the train for allergy podcasts, and like I said, there was always like talking about allergies in a very medical and clinical way, and I was like, oh, this doesn't resonate with me. So I decided to do the May Contain podcast. So each week you have different guests, and it's really trying to break the stigma. So the first episode was with like 2 of my best friends, and we're talking about dating with an allergy, like how do you bring it up in the day? Because if a girl's eating nuts and I kiss a girl, then I could have severe allergic reaction, or go into anaphylactic shock, and like
we really don't want that to happen.
Yeah, that's what no one really talks about these kind of topics. So it's like, so it's me and my 2 mates, and they was like, well, what happens if you go into like a club? Because so when you carry adrenaline, it's in my bag actually, but like the bouncer's always like, what's this? And I'm like, it's adrenaline, like I'd need it if I've severe allergy, or the cocktail contains it. So it's just talking about.
And actually, that's a really good point, because we've got quite a few people here who are going to be able to drink cocktails. How do you navigate that when you're out on a date, or you're out with mates, and you want to be sat in a beer garden enjoying alcohol? How do you navigate that? Because there's such a real issue with cross-contamination there.
Yeah, so beer's usually fine. I find like with cocktails, so I went out for a few drinks last night, and I said to the bartender, I was like, just so you're aware, I've got a very severe nut allergy, and I don't know if you guys have heard, but a girl from Manchester Uni, she went out to a cocktail bar, and it didn't say on the menu that it contained egg whites, and she had a severe allergic reaction. She went to anaphylactic shock, where your neck swells up and you can't breathe, and it kills 20 people a year. And basically it wasn't labelled clearly, and obviously she didn't mention it to the bar staff at the time, and so every time I go to a cocktail bar now, I've got to be like, I've got severe allergy, does it contain nuts? And the guy luckily was like, good job you told me, because like the container that was doing the cocktail with before me contained almonds. So if you didn't wash it properly, then I could have had a severe allergic reaction last night. So it's so important to start that dialogue.
And it's everywhere, isn't it? That's what we have to remember. As allergy parents, or somebody with an allergy, we know to look out for it. We're always on alert, we're always aware, we're always conscious of what's going on around us. It's the people that don't have to be aware all the time that we almost have to constantly positively educate to make sure that we stay safe, right?
It's like an educational piece. Definitely when you like go to university for the first time and you meet new people, like you've got to educate them like how safe your allergy is. So if you're cooking in the kitchen, for example, and someone's just cooking nuts and they've not cleaned the plate after you, and you put your food on that plate, then that's a cross-contamination, and you can have a severe allergic reaction. And it nearly happened to me. Like my friend was cooking with like Nutella, and he had it, and he didn't clean the chopping board. I made a sandwich, And for whatever reason, I don't know why, I flipped the sandwich over. Probably an OCD. And it had like Nutella on the bottom of the sandwich. And I could have just bit that and I just feel allergic reaction. And like
That's
I said,
the classic
it's so
gut
scary,
instinct they tell you about, isn't it?
Yeah.
As a mum, I have that, and I instinctively know when something's not safe. Clearly that happens for you as well, and that's such an important thing to never overrule, because that's what keeps you safe.
Yeah, definitely like going with like your gut feeling. I think that's like the amazing thing by like interviewing different people on the podcast. Like everyone talks about their experiences of how they've like understood. So I think recently I had Rosie from the Great British Bake Off, like, and she was talking about like when they'd done all the food, she had a separate tent in the show. So
which is amazing. When you think mainstream TV actually understands it, gets it, and makes sure she stays safe throughout.
Which she had nut run as well, which was incredible. So she had one specific person run around and make sure that everything she was cooking with was clean. So there was definitely no cross-contamination in the Great British Bake Off tent, which I thought was like very interesting, because you would never realise this until like I kind of spoke to her. Right? So that was incredible.
It's very cool. Now I have to start handing over to our next chef, who's going to be coming along in a minute. So I would like to take from you, for our lovely audience, what top 3 tips would you give somebody with allergies? It can be either eating out or just general. What are your top 3 tips?
I think the first one is always be vocal about your allergy and never feel embarrassed to speak up about it. I know it's very easy said than done, but like always start that dialogue, whether you're in a restaurant or you get a cocktail, like always be vocal about your allergy. The second one I like to talk about is anxiety as well. Anxiety affects so many children now with food allergies, where they feel like left out or they feel like singled out. And anxiety is something I've had to deal with as well with a food allergy. And I think the best thing what I did when I feel like my anxiety building up, and because you got to work out with anxiety whether it's an allergic reaction or whether it's a panic attack. And that's the most tricky thing when you have a food allergy. Like, so the best thing to do is like stay as calm as possible. Take your antihistamine. That's always helped me. So when you feel like it's coming on, I take my antihistamine. That kind of curves it out.
That's a really good tip, that.
And the third one is, oh God, I don't know. Be confident. Like, own it as well. And I think a lot of people just don't take like that ownership, you know what I mean? When you take on that responsibility and move away from time, just like be really vocal and educate everyone. Always carry 2 EpiPens, that's what
yes,
it, yeah.
Absolutely agree with you.
Because like, but I think 50% of young people just don't carry the auto-injector, and that's like your life
scared to carry it in case they get any questions asked, but it's the one thing that's going to keep them safe, right?
That's what I mean. If it gives you the extra few minutes then to get to the hospital, it's like the auto-injector is life-saving, and 50% of young people just don't carry the auto-injector, so I think it's so important to carry that everywhere you go, thanks for having me on that.
Absolutely awesome. Thank you so much, Dan. Guys, can you give them a round of applause, please?
And if you want to follow May Contain, it's _May Contain on Instagram and Twitter, and the website is may-contain.com.
There you go.
Cheers. Thank you.